Let me show you how these work. This is how it works. These hang on the wall in my house. You can collect these, by the way, from our exhibition stand. I got home one day from work, and I says to Judy, and she sat at the back, I says to Judy, 5 days, I've got 5 days in my diary, nothing to do, jet to Leeds, Bradford, Spain, cheap holiday, let's have a bit of sun. So Judy says to me, she says, Rob, she said, I'm having my hair done Monday, my nails Wednesday, oh, we've got to put the dogs in the kennels. And I said, this is what I said, okay, forget about it. Forget about it. I said, it will be easier for me to go to work, is what I said. And I walked out. I didn't know this, but Judy walked into the office. She took my values off of the wall, walked into the TV room. I was watching the TV, threw them on the settee and said to me, what value's that then? And walked out. Now, let me tell you, I am fairly busy at the moment. A little voice starts talking to us, doesn't it? Yeah? You don't understand. I've been busy. There's 5 days in my day. All you've got to do is get your hair done. And, you know, that's what starts happening. And that happened to me. Happened to me. Incredible Hulk. So what I did is I walked into the kitchen, opened the door. Judy looks at me like that as much as to say, what's he going to say? And I said, come here. I said, you're absolutely right. That value is not on there, and I apologise. And I did it sincerely. What did she say? I can cancel my hair appointment. Dogs are not a problem. And we went to Ibiza. Did I do it for that reason? No. Because if you do it for that reason, people will see through it and it won't make any difference. You have to have your value. This is who I want to be. But it's so difficult. That's the way it works. Does it work in business? Yeah. Who's ever had a boss like an MD that gets annoyed every day of the week? Are they here today? Now, let me tell you about these people, because I was this person. They are good people. They don't get up in the morning and say, I want to just pee everybody off today. But they do, because they don't have values. In 2001, just before I retired, I took a board of BP, British Petroleum, through my leadership programme. And our programmes, like Moores and Harrods of Experience and Key Care, are 1 session a week for a number of weeks. Now, what that allows you to do is implement the ideas and put them into practice to find out whether they work or whether they don't work. Come back the next week and tell us. On the second week of the BP programme, John, I won't tell you his surname for this exercise, comes into the meeting, sits down, and before we start, he says these words to me. He said, Rob, I want to tell you about something that I said when I left this meeting last week. And we didn't know each other very well. And I said, sure, John, what is it? I walked out of this room after 4 hours of working with you, and I said to my colleague, what a load of rubbish this is. So, board of BP, I said, okay, John. I says, yeah, is there a reason? He says, yeah. He said, can I carry on? I said, of course you can. He said, because you were talking about your kids and how they used to run in the house with their Wellingtons on and the mud on the Wellingtons, and you said, get those Wellingtons off. And Judy would come out and say, what are you doing picking on the kids? I said, I'm not picking on the kids. What I'm doing, I'm disciplining them just like you should. And he said, what's this got to do with leadership? So I said, okay, John, what's your point? He said, I want to tell you about something that happened to me this week. Now, John was one of the most senior people in BP, under pressure, stressed, you know the type of person I'm talking about. He said, 3 weeks ago, Rob, my wife was taking some photographs, and I pride myself in being an amateur photographer. She was standing in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing, and I immediately told her. And this week, after your talk to us on leadership, he said, I've gone home after my difficult day at BP, and as I've walked in, the photographs are on the side. They were developed. This was back in 2001. I've opened them, and guess what? Exactly as I said, they are rubbish, absolute rubbish. He said, Rob, what I would normally do after my difficult day at BP is walk in and say, I told you so, waste of money, waste of time, you never listen. What I did do is I opened them, closed them, walked into the kitchen, and my wife said, "Oh, John, you're home." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you had a difficult day?" I went, "No, it's been fine." He said, "We sat down to dinner." He said, "The atmosphere was different because I had made it different." And after 20 minutes, this is him telling me in a board meeting with BP, he said, "My wife turned to me and said these words, 'John, those photographs arrived today. You were absolutely right. They were rubbish.'" And I said to her, "Don't worry about it, we all make mistakes." So I said, "What's your point, John?" He said, "Rob, this isn't about your children, is it?" So I said, what are you saying, John?" He said, "And this isn't about my wife, is it?" I said, "What are you saying, John?" He said, "I'm doing this all day long, aren't I?" I said, yeah, you are. But you have to discover that. You can't have an expert like me tell you that that's what you're doing. I can only tell you what I do and what I learn from. They have to discover it themselves. It's different between being the expert and the master. The expert will tell you how to do it. The master actually says, "I'm the one who makes mistakes." So the value he adopted was, I respect other people's opinions. I never tell them they are wrong. And that really is my story in terms of you have to do something extra that is out of the ordinary. And it may be as simple as, you normally make the tea in the office, let me do it for you today. We have to have fun and encouragement and motivation. And that may be that when you get out of the car in the morning, if there's a song on that you like the Style Council, you just go in the office singing it. And one of our people recently has said to us, a customer, "I can't stop singing now you've told me that," you know? In the office, it's a habit, extraordinary, fun, and we have to change our attitude and then adopt a value that says, this is not the person I am, but this is the person that I want to be. So who are you? Are you somebody that watches things happen? Are you somebody that makes things happen? Or are you somebody that hasn't got a clue what's happening? Finally, I'd like to leave you with this. I've watched Back to the Future 3 10 times. Anybody else like Back to the Future 3? Yeah. But you never take a lot of notice of it. You ever sort of watch a film? And I watched it 2 weeks ago. This is very recent for me. And at the end of Back to the Future 3, the train comes in. Have you seen? The train comes in, and it's sort of hovering, you know, and it's come from the past because the dock was in the Great West back in the 18th century. And he comes to the train, and he's got Einstein the dog, you know, Einstein the dog, and he's got Clara, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jules and Vern, his two little kids. Yeah, you remember that? And there's Marty and Jennifer, and they're looking at the dark, you know, I thought you was dead. And he said, "No, he says, "No, Marty, I've just come from the past, and everything's okay." He said, and don't worry about what's happened, and don't worry about yesterday, and don't worry about your argument in the office last week, and don't worry about what you did last month, and don't worry about the year before, and don't worry about your childhood, the fact that you had a bad childhood, because your future is unwritten. And that really came home to me, that when you leave this auditorium now, no matter what happened this morning with your husband, your kids, or you can get on the phone and say sorry and write your future. Do you agree with that? So that's my message to you. Whatever is happening in your life right now, it has no bearing on what you can do when you leave this meeting today in the future. I'd like to thank you for your time. You've been a great audience. In fact, you're my favourites. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.